I spent $9,000 on sister's wedding, and she said it was cheap and called me selfish. I got angry and took all the money that they got a gift, and now look. They are going crazy. I'll admit it up front, I'm not a rich guy. I make enough to get by, pay my bills, and occasionally splurge on something nice, but that's about it. So when my parents asked me to help pay for my younger sister's wedding, it wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't like I had $9,000 lying around. But I said yes. You see, my sister Emma and I grew up close, and even though life had taken us in different directions, I still wanted her to have the days she dreamed of. I thought, hey, if I can't live the dream, at least I can help her start hers. I had to dip into my savings and say goodbye to some side projects I'd been funding, but I did it. $9,000. Not a loan, not a conditional gift, just go for it, Emma, make it count. At first she was thrilled. She texted me about how amazing the venue was, the dress she was eyeing, the decorations they were planning. I was really happy for her. I didn't even mind when work pulled me away on her big day. I figured the money I gave would more than make up for my absence. The wedding came and went, and from the little I heard, everything seemed to go well. Emma even called me the next day, and when I asked her how everything went, she just said, "It was fine, yeah. Thanks for everything." I didn't think much of her tone at the time. People are exhausted after weddings, right? But a few days later, I stopped by our parents' house, where Emma and her new husband, Alex, were staying. Everyone was sitting around the table when I asked how the wedding went. That's when Emma dropped the bomb. "It was okay," she said, dragging out the word as if deciding whether to sugarcoat it. "But honestly, it felt kind of cheap. I mean, we wanted something more elegant, you know? More upscale. Alex and I were actually thinking maybe we should do another one, something more appropriate." She didn't even look at me when she said it, just stirred her coffee as if we were talking about bad weather. I looked around the table. My parents remained silent, looking everywhere but at me. Alex shifted uncomfortably but didn't say anything. Then it hit me. $9,000 scraped together from my savings, and my sister had the nerve to sit there and call it cheap. And it wasn't just the word. It was the way she said it, as if I'd handed her a crumpled $5 bill instead of making a real effort to make her day special. I couldn't stop myself. "Are you serious? $9,000 isn't enough for you? You're actually thinking about having another wedding because this one wasn't fancy enough?" Emma finally looked up at me, her face blank, like I was the crazy one. "I mean, it's not just about the money," she said with a shrug. "It's about the vibe. I wanted something that people would remember." For a moment I could only stare at her. Then I said the one thing that changed everything. I stood there trying to process what she just said. The wedding I paid for wasn't memorable enough? My $9,000 wasn't enough to give her the vibe she wanted? I couldn't hold back. "You know what, Emma?" I said. "If you wanted a royal wedding, maybe you should have paid for it yourself instead of relying on me to finance it." That got her attention. She narrowed her eyes at me, as if I were the one being unreasonable. "It's not that I don't appreciate it," she shot back. "But honestly, if you couldn't afford to do it right, maybe you shouldn't have offered in the first place." I don't know what stunned me more, her words or the fact that Alex, her new husband, still hadn't said anything. My parents just sat there like they were watching a train wreck they didn't want to be a part of. "Are you kidding me, Emma?" I asked, my voice rising. "I worked my ass off to save this money for you. Do you even know what it cost me to get you this? And now you sit here and act like it's my fault that your wedding wasn't good enough for you?" She crossed her arms. "I'm just saying, I wanted something better. And now Alex and I are thinking about doing it again. Something smaller, more exclusive." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Smaller and more exclusive? You mean more expensive, don't you?" She didn't answer, but her expression told me everything I needed to know. Then Alex finally spoke. "Emma, maybe we should dash." "No, Alex." She cut him off, her voice firm. "I'm just being honest. I didn't say anything before because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but since he asked, that was it. I'd reached my limit. You know what, Emma? You're right. You're just being honest. So let me be honest with you, you don't deserve the help you've been getting. If $9,000 isn't good enough for you, maybe you should give it back. The room fell silent. Emma blinked, surprised. What are you talking about? I mean exactly what I said, I replied. If my money wasn't enough to make you happy, why don't you give it back? Or better yet, how about you give me all the money you got as a wedding present? That should cover the moral compensation for me wasting my life savings on someone who clearly doesn't appreciate it. My dad opened his mouth to say something, but my mom nudged him and he remained silent. Alex looked like he wanted to melt into the ground. Emma just stared at me, her jaw clenching. You're being ridiculous, she said. Am I? I asked. Because I don't think I am. I think I'm finally seeing you for what you are, ungrateful and selfish. So what's it going to be? Are you going to give me my money back, or are you going to prove me right? She looked at Alex, clearly expecting him to back her up. But he just rubbed his neck and avoided her gaze. Then she realized she was on her own. After a long pause, she sighed and said, Fine. If that's what you want, I'll give it back. She left the room and returned a few minutes later with a small stack of envelopes. Here, she said, setting them on the table. This is all the money we got as gifts. It's more than what you gave, so consider it even. I didn't even look at the envelopes. I just picked them up, put them in my bag, and said, Thank you. Now we're done. And then I walked out the door. I thought walking out of my parents' house with that stack of envelopes was the end of it. I really did. But I should have known better. Emma wasn't the type to let things slide. The first sign came the very next day. My phone buzzed, and there it was, a text from Emma. Hey, I need you to bring the money back. Alex and I have bills to pay and it's not fair for you to take it all. I laughed out loud when I read it. Not fair? Was she serious? I didn't even bother to answer. A few hours later, my dad called. Hey, can we talk? He said. I could hear the weariness in his voice. Let me guess, I said. Emma called you about the money. She's upset, he admitted. She says you're overreacting. Overreacting? I shot back. Dad, she called the wedding I paid for cheap and basically told me I should have spent more. Now she wants me to give the money back? She's lucky I didn't lose it all. He sighed. Look, I'm not saying she was right. I'm just saying maybe you should have handled it differently. That's the problem, Dad, I said. This isn't just about the wedding. Emma's always been like this. There was a pause. What do you mean? He asked. And that's when I started listing examples. Remember when I got my first car? I asked. That old Honda I saved up for? Yeah, he said slowly. Remember what Emma did a week after I got it? She asked if she could borrow it to go to the mall, and when I said no, she took the spare key and drove it anyway. She came back with a dent in the side and told me I shouldn't have parked so close to other cars. Dad was quiet, so I continued. Or how about the time I saved up to buy Mom that necklace for her birthday? Emma found out and convinced me to give her half the money so she could buy Mom something, too. She ended up spending it on herself and got Mom a candle from the dollar store. I could hear him exhale, but he still didn't say anything. And let's not forget the time I helped her with the rent. I continued. I gave her $500 because she said she was going to be evicted. Then I find out she used it to buy tickets to a music festival. She didn't even apologize when I confronted her about it. She just said, "You'll get over it." Okay, Dad finally said. I get it. She's made mistakes. But she's still your sister. Yeah, and I've been cleaning up her messes for years, I said. There comes a time when enough is enough. He didn't have an answer for that, and frankly, I didn't expect him to. A week passed, and I thought things were finally calming down. Then Emma pulled another stunt. I was at work when I got a call from my bank. We've noticed some unusual activity on your account, the representative said. Did you authorize a transfer of $3,000 this morning? No, I said immediately. My stomach sank. Who is the recipient? The rep gave me the name, Emma Johnson. She'd used the account information from when I sent her money for the wedding to pull a fast one. I couldn't believe it. I felt the heat rise in my chest as I told the bank to block the transfer and close my account. I called Emma as soon as I got off the phone. She didn't even deny it. Well, you took our wedding money, she said, as if that justified it. I just thought I'd take what I deserved. You deserve? I shouted. Emma, that money was given to you and Alex as a gift, and you gave it to me to make up for what you said. Now you think you can just steal it from me? It's not stealing, she argued. It's just being fair. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. After Emma's stunt with the bank, I knew I had to draw the line. For years, I'd let her get away with her selfishness because she was my sister. I'd always thought, family comes first. But this wasn't just about family anymore, it was about boundaries, respect, and her complete disregard for both. I spent a day stewing over this before deciding on my next move. I called her that night. Emma, I said, getting right to the point. What you did with my bank account was illegal. It's fraud. Oh, come on, she scoffed. I was just trying to take what you shouldn't have taken in the first place. You made this mess, not me. Listen carefully, I said, keeping my tone as calm as possible. If you try anything like this again, I will go to the police and get a lawyer. You will not manipulate or steal from me again, Emma. This is your last warning. For a moment she said nothing. Then she laughed, but it wasn't the carefree kind. It was nervous. You wouldn't do this, she said. You're not that kind of person. Maybe I wasn't, I replied. But I am now. Don't test me. I hung up before she could answer. I didn't hear from Emma for a few days after that, and I honestly hoped that the threat had been enough to scare her into stopping. But just to be sure, I took action. I contacted an attorney to see what my options were, and they confirmed that Emma's attempt to transfer money from my account was grounds for legal action. A few days later, I had the lawyer draft a formal letter explaining the potential consequences of her actions: fraud charges, fines, even jail time, and what would happen if she tried it again. I sent the letter to her by certified mail, just to make sure she'd get it. The next day, I received a frantic phone call from Emma. Are you serious? She screamed. You sent me a letter from a lawyer? What the hell is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I said. You tried to steal from me, Emma. This is what happens when you cross the line. You're taking this way too far, she yelled. We're family. You're supposed to be helping me, not threatening me with lawyers. No, I corrected her. Family doesn't do what you've done. Family doesn't call someone's efforts cheap, steal their money, or justify their selfishness by saying, we're family. If you don't want to deal with lawyers, stop giving me reasons to involve them. She started to argue, but I wasn't interested in her excuses. I ended the call. The letter did its job. From what I heard through my parents, Emma was in a panic. She kept calling them, crying about how I was being unreasonable and making her life miserable. But when she realized I wasn't bluffing, her tone changed. A week after receiving the letter, she called me again. This time she wasn't yelling. Look, she said, I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have done that to your account. I was upset and I wasn't thinking straight. Is that your way of saying you're going to stop? I asked. Yes, she said quickly. I promise. Just don't get lawyers involved, okay? I can't deal with that. Fine, I said. Then we're done here. Don't make me regret letting this go. I hung up and felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Since then, Emma has kept her distance. I don't know if it's out of guilt, embarrassment, or anger, and honestly, I don't care. She's learned the hard way that I'm done being her doormat, and for the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. As for my parents, they're still trying to play neutral, but I've made it clear where I stand. I love my family, But love doesn't mean enabling someone's bad behavior. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is hold a mirror up to someone's face, and if they don't like what they see, that's on them. If Emma ever changes, maybe we can work things out. But until then, I'm done cleaning up her mess. I hadn't heard much from Emma in the years since everything had happened. She didn't reach out, and neither did I. My parents would occasionally give me updates, but they were vague things like, "Emma's working things out," or "she's going through a lot right now." I didn't ask for details. I figured she needed time to come to terms with her decisions, and honestly, I was still too burned to care much. Then, out of the blue, she called me. At first, I wasn't sure I even wanted to answer. But curiosity got the better of me and I answered. "Hey," she said, her voice lower than I'd ever heard it. "Can we talk?" "What's this about?" I asked. There was a pause before she said, I need to see you. Please." Against my better judgment, I said yes. We met at a coffee shop the next day, and when she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked different. Not in a dramatic way, but there was something softer about her. She didn't have that air of entitlement she used to carry with her everywhere she went. We sat down, and for a moment neither of us said anything. Then she took a deep breath and began to speak. "Alex left me," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "It was 6 months ago. He said he couldn't take it anymore, that I'd never be happy, no matter what he did. And he's right. I wasn't. I always wanted more, and it wasn't fair to him. I didn't say anything. I just listened. I've been thinking a lot since he left." She continued. "About him, about us, about everything. And I realized, I have been a terrible sister to you. I was selfish, and I took advantage of you, and I didn't appreciate anything you did for me." She looked down at her hands, twisting a napkin nervously. "I lost my marriage because I couldn't see what I had until it was gone," she said. "And I lost my brother for the same reason. I don't want to keep losing people I care about. I'm sorry, okay? For everything. The wedding, the money, everything. I want us to be okay again. Can we forget this and start over?" I leaned back in my chair and took it all in. Part of me wanted to tell her that an apology didn't erase the past, that forgiveness wasn't that easy. But looking at her, I could tell that she was sincere. For the first time in years, she wasn't making excuses or deflecting blame. She took responsibility. "I will not forget this," I finally said. "But I can forgive you. If you're serious about changing, I'm willing to give you another chance." Her shoulders slumped in relief. "Thank you," she said. We talked for a while after that. She told me about the therapy she'd been going to, how she was working on being more grateful and less materialistic. I told her that I was proud of her for taking these steps, but that rebuilding trust would take time. When we said goodbye, it felt different, lighter, like a weight had been lifted. I don't know what the future holds for our relationship, but for the first time in a long time, I have hope. Sometimes people surprise you. Sometimes they change. And when they do, maybe they deserve a chance to prove it.